interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
Bro, it's like I'm so unprofessional. No matter what show it is, whatever the music is, I get so into it. I just want to like sit here and jam and not even continue talking. But I will talk to you, the welterweight champion of the world, Belal Muhammad. My name is Jason Anik. We are here. It's Remember the Show. We appreciate you all being with us. Those of you that remembered tonight, we appreciate you being with us live. Episode 141, I think. And we'll get to the masterful Alexandre Pantoja, you can be sure. But Bully, the highlight for me, Sunday, UFC 310 ends, and I get to spend all day watching football with you. Shout out Big Mike. Where'd we go to breakfast? What was it? Egg Slut? Is that the name of the place?
Yeah. And Cosmo, those sandwiches in there are so good.
Dude, and you can be sure Belal Muhammad won't let me pay for food ever. You can be sure at some point we will go to a nice place and the credit card will be in the back and you'll have no access to it. You can be sure. But that was a fun day, man. You had a good weekend, I assume, overall.
Yeah, we got to start saying Sundays more, right? We just got to stay that whole day instead of wasting it. Because that's, for the most part, you get back, you fly in the morning, then you lose like 3 hours coming back to Chicago. Then by the time you're in Chicago, it's already like 6, 7 p.m. So you're already wasted a day. So I'd rather do what we did is like stay the whole day in Vegas Sunday, chill, and then get back to Chicago that morning on Monday and then start your day.
It's perfect. You can stay, watch the Chicago Bears lose their 7th straight. It's just great. No, I'm just messing with you. But yes, it was fun, man. We did a little watch along Saturday night. So we were at the fights. Obviously, Belal was there. The co-main event was the welterweights. We'll get to that. But we did a little watch along. Went up. There he is. Yeah, OG Smoke. Let go, champ. Just want to make sure we check that. You know, the OG Smoke. It looks like the color of that looks like a Kazakhstan flag, and I see the name Shavkat. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? But anyway, we went upstairs, Bully and I, for a couple fights, did a watch along. We appreciate all the love, but we went up to do the watch along with Jens Pulver and Forrest Griffin. We've done that before, but I always love doing that with you because I don't get to watch the fights with you. You're in the fighter section. I'm in the broadcaster section, but that was fun going up there.
Yeah, it was cool. And it's always like getting that feel for like trying to be like a commentator, right? Like it felt like we were back on the APFC desk and just talking through the fights. It's like you said, it's always just cool when like you're talking to people that actually know about fighting instead of just like random fans screaming the most random things out there.
Yeah, it really is interesting. I didn't think about that, but we do sort of get into like broadcaster mode a little bit. I don't really do like the play-by-play. I feel like Jens sort of talks through it. Forrest is just fucking cracking jokes. You know, Forrest is just messing with me the whole time. And then you're breaking it down. But I love sort of teeing you up, letting you break it down and letting you roll and letting you just flow in the moment because you know, for those that haven't tuned into APFC, my boy Bully B, nobody better. My brother says Kenny Florian, nobody better analyzing fights. That's his podcast host, but I'll put my boy Bully up against him. But Forrest Griffin, man, always cracking jokes. Like he says to me, he's like, he sees my phone. He's like, are those your kids on your phone? And my dumb ass actually looks at the phone as if I got someone else's kids as a picture on my phone. Forrest just always keeping me on my toes. But anyway, let's get to the card 310 quickly. And we don't always love looking back on Remember the Show. We sort of like to move forward. But Alexandre Pantoja, bro, I don't have the words for how impressed I am. Physically, he looked as good as he's ever looked. And I mean just the physique, right? And I'm not talking about the shaved head. That was dope, by the way. But I think Kai Asakura would have finished some other guys that night. Those knees, right? And Gilbert Burns is screaming from the rooftops about the pound for pound in terms of Pantoja. And I hear him loud and clear. But man, it's just like third title defense. You bring in another guy from another promotion. And I love when the UFC champion says, welcome to the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Finish the fight. Your thoughts overall on Alexandre Pantoja, man?
Man, I was so annoyed because like I was sitting there and then right after the co-main event, they called me to the back to do interviews. And then I was like, could we just wait till after this fight, the main event? And then they were like, it'll just be quick. So I finished that one. And then the first round was over with. So right when I walked back out, it was like the second round was like ending and the fight was over. And I was like, bro, I should have just stayed in the back and watched it on TV.
Wow.
So it was annoying, but I went back and watched it.
Of course you did.
Yeah. And bro, some of those knees, like you said, they would have finished a lot of fighters. But Pantoja is so strong and he's so durable. And once you get your back, it's just so hard. And I know a couple of guys, one of my training partners actually went to Japan to train with him, with Kai. And he's like, all we were doing was back takes. We were doing nothing but defending back takes. Like we were starting sparring rounds with the back take. And for himself, he said, I never felt anybody that punched as hard as Kai. He said, dude, like his first time landing clean on me, he broke my nose. Like his striking is so good and so clean. But when it came down to grappling, obviously he's like, he needed help there, but it's not like he wasn't working it. So for them to do like a whole camp geared toward protecting that back take and for Pantoja to still to get it, it just shows you how good Pantoja is. And like you said, for him, that's 3 title defenses now. And respectful call out of Demetrius Johnson. That I love the way he did that. And Demetrius Johnson obviously turned it down. But then even after that, Pantoja's like, all right, well, I'd love to get training in with him as well. So I love when guys do that and they're not faking anything or like, oh man, you're scared, that's why, or anything like that.
So Pantoja, you were talking about sort of his ability once he sort of gets your back and maybe some opportunities you had said to me that Asakura just sort of not like the one thing you can't do, right? Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I was saying like when I fought Damian Maia, it was avoiding him even touching my back. So like, even when I got taken down, all right, we're pulling guard. We're putting our back to the ground. You can't make any little mistake of giving him any type of daylight when he sees your back because he'll hop on it. So it should have just been nonstop avoiding even going on your back. I know he was saying that they started guys on his back. They were going from there, but that's already too late. If he's on your back, it's already too late. He shouldn't even be near your back from the start. And I think that's where a lot of guys mess up is, you hate to drill it, right? Because everybody's so used to normal drilling. Everybody has grappling matches where you guys start on your back. All right, bad position. Start on your back and go live. But you're going against a specialist like Pantoja, it should be him trying to get to your back and you putting your back on the cage, you putting your back on the ground, squeezing your back tight to where he can't even go there anymore. And if you have to waste a round of just holding guard, as we've seen in the co-main event, and just holding him there, then you do that. Just get back up because there's 3 more rounds after that. Yeah, little mistakes like that, I think obviously you'll learn from it. But Pantoja's just so good, man. You got to respect him no matter what.
Dude, unbelievable, man. Just walking through some of those shots. So we're going to get to the welterweights in the co-main event, but I just have to say, right, Doo Ho Choi, right? He gets in that main event slot. There were a lot of fights we thought could have maybe been in the main event, right? Aljo, and Evloev as a prelim. But, you're like, all right, Nate the Train's the favorite. Nate the Train on that. No, the Korean Superboy is why he's on the main card. And John asked, I think, maybe he's talking to Kenny on the show, just saying, if you're sending a featherweight in to fight Ilia Topuria to save a dog's life, right? And they're saying Volk or whoever it is, right? And you can laugh at me all you want. I know Doo Ho Choi isn't ranked, but frankly, I haven't been in this game long enough to really know much about that cat. I'm a little embarrassed to say. But right now, for me, it's him. If I'm sending someone in to try and beat Topuria to save a dog's life, I mean, you had to be impressed. He was crispy and looked elite to me that night.
100%. He looked so good. He showed that there's levels to this. Nate the Train, they thought, all right, he always comes to bank. He's always tough. Maybe in the 3rd round, he'll make a comeback. But no, Doo Ho Choi, that uppercut, those hands, that speed, even the ground game, he was good everywhere. Even when he first got into the UFC, he was that good. He had a fight of the year with
That's right.
Swanson.
It's in the Hall of Fame.
It made it to the Hall of Fame, right? But I think he had to take 2 years off for the Army.
Yep,
so
Korean military.
That throws everything off, right? That throws away your momentum, throws away your speed. The fans don't know who you are. But like the real ones, they know how good he is. And he reminded a lot of people this weekend how good he is. And I'm excited for it. I think now you give him a name. You're saying, obviously, that would be a great fight, but give me like a Calvin Kattar. That type of both those guys boxing, striking with each other. For Kattar, it's a guy that's not going to wrestle him coming off that Aljo loss. I think that would be definitely a fun fight. And it's another step up for Doo Ho Choi.
Absolutely love it. Glad we got to him. Excited to talk about 170 pounds, which is currently the division in which you are the welterweight champion of the world. So I enjoyed that 5-round fight with Ian Garry, Ian Machado Garry, and Shavkat Rakhmonov more than most. Shavkat wins the 5-round unanimous decision. It was close. Now he gets a chance to face you, and we will get to you. But before we get to you, just sort of your thoughts on the fight, sort of from both sides.
I think a lot of people are just looking too much into that it went 5 rounds, right? You're saying, oh man, Shavkat's not this boogeyman that people thought he was, but they're forgetting that they were teammates. So they know how each other fought. For Shavkat, he said, I tapped him out in the room plenty of times. So maybe he was looking past Ian. Ian, like I said, when it hit the ground, he was very smart. When he got taken down, you saw him do the body triangle from guard, and there's really not much you could do from there. He wasn't trying to get up. He was just trying to hold. And that tells me that he knew that if he was trying to get up, that's where Shavkat catches him with guillotines or catches him with chokes. And a lot of that time is where, like I said, if you have to play it safe and get to the end of the round, do that just to get to the next round. Because when it got to the 5th round, he had that rear naked choke. That was in deep. That was tight. I know a lot of people are talking about the technique, and if he just moved his head to the left side a little bit, we always say that, go ear to ear with him. That makes it tighter. But his was behind him, and like I told you, he was like more pulling it. And that was more like a crank, and there wasn't really arteries getting shut off there. But it also shows you that Shavkat's also tough, right? There's guys, 5th round, you're tired, you put your chin up, all right, take it, go ahead, you got me. But you learn a lot from both guys. Anytime you get to see an extra 25 minutes from anybody, it's a lot. And for myself, we watched a lot of tape on Shavkat before this fight, right? We were training for him. We had probably like 4 or 5 weeks already of training camp already, a film study in already. So now you're just giving me an extra 25 minutes to watch him.
No doubt.
We've seen a lot of stuff that we thought we could exploit. We've seen a lot of stuff that now we've seen a little bit more. The thing where it gets me, right, is with Shavkat, him and his team, they always, well, I wouldn't even say his team. I would say DC's the one who said he had a torn MCL. So there's always that, right? Whenever there's like, when he doesn't look unstoppable or untouchable, that's when they say, oh well, he had injury. And I hate when guys come off with excuses after a win, right? Even with your king of Ali's king of the welterweights, Usman, where he had to hit his 30%, right? That was only 30%. That was only me at 30%. I hate when guys do that if they win a fight, because you did what you had to do to win the fight. You don't have to give excuses of why it wasn't a finish or why it wasn't this. It was like, bro, you won. This guy's a tough guy. He's a tough opponent. So don't come up with an excuse or disrespect him like that.
Loud and clear. Well, not everyone's built like you, as you continue to say we, as you talk about your team, even though you're a fighter. That's just how you are built. But, it is meant to be Shavkat, right? He did get the opportunity. He was granted the opportunity to face you and did sort of hold the event together and fought Ian Garry. So I'm glad that he emerged victorious so that you get this opportunity, right? And it's like, imagine a world in which we live where Ian Garry is actually getting this opportunity. And I love Ian Garry as a fighter and as a person, but Shavkat had earned it prior. So I'm glad he still gets that shot. You agree?
Yeah, 100%. And I think for me, I think it's a bigger one, right? It's more for my legacy as well. It's like if Ian would have beat him, then they would have been like, "Oh man, you're Ian did what you were afraid to do. Ian would have done this and that." And it's like people are gonna say that. So now that I get to fight a guy that's 19-0, a guy that's still considered the boogeyman, a guy that still has all these people behind him. I love that because it keeps that chip on my shoulder. I'm still the underdog. I want to still be the underdog. If Ian would have won, they probably would have made me the favorite. So for myself, I'd rather be the underdog. I'd rather be the guy that they're doubting. So I could go out there, shut up some more of these haters and, keep winning these fights.
I love it. Well, so you're my boy, right? So to me, right, I like people getting to know the personal side a little bit, right? So it's like, yeah, you tell us what it's like watching that fight and being able to watch 5 rounds and learn. But like as a human being, as my friend, what's it like emotionally sitting there? I know you were the backup last December, right? When it's Leon Edwards, Colby Covington. But by the time we get to Saturday, right, you're not thinking about fighting. I know Dan Ige fought on 4 hours notice. But right, what's it like emotionally sort of sitting there, or are you just so able to lock in on the fight?
Honestly, it sucked because obviously I was supposed to be the headliner for that card, my first time headlining in Vegas. So like it's bittersweet that you're there, and it felt good because I just got cleared to start training. So we just started working out again. We started moving around. So I was happy to be able to start sweating again. But then it's like, I want to fight. Anytime I'm in the arena or anything, you get that itch and you get that feel, especially when it's a 170 pounder. For myself, like you said, for that Kobe Leon fight, we were there as the backup, but it was still like, are they going to screw me again? Am I really going to get this fight? Now I knew that whoever wins this fight, I'm fighting no matter what. I knew that it's guaranteed because I am the one to have the belt. There's nobody that can sit there, and Leon can't pull let me look around some more and try to find another fighter. For myself, I'm not looking around. I know who it is. I have my eye set on Shavkat. That's who it is. That's who it's going to be. People are talking and saying, well, what if Kobe wins this weekend? Or what if this guy wins this week? I'm like, no, it's Shavkat. That's the next in line. That's the guy that I want to fight. That's the next guy I want to beat. And that's what makes me hungry, because now I'm back in the gym this week. I'm back to training normally. And like I told you before, once you have a name and all you need is a date, I have the name already. So now I'm already motivated to get back to work, already motivated to where we're watching tape. We're already studying it and start working toward it. And we don't even have a date yet. So I'm just back. It feels good. I'm excited. And I'm pumped, man. No matter what happens, whichever one of those guys would have won, I would have been pumped regardless this week, because now I know I could just start working toward that next fight.
Yeah, I love it. We're not going to talk about a date. So how you feeling? How you feeling overall?
Good. I mean, we started 2 days. So I'm going like a pretty decent practice in the morning, and then at night either like a jog, or I've been doing like running or just like pad hitting. But it's just getting my body used to it again. Like getting off the antibiotics is hard, because your it feels like you have no cardio, and then your body's just super sore because we're wrestling. So falling down hurts, getting leg kicked hurts. And I'm like, is this what my body's going to be like from now on? But yeah, man, I'm just excited. I want to get in shape. So this week and next week, I just want to push super hard. Not crazy, but just hard enough to where the following week I can go to Vegas and train with Habib and the crew. They're going to be down there for the whole camp. So I got to go down there and get some working with those guys. Get any knowledge. Just see what Habib thinks of the fight. See what he thinks of the next fight. And just seeing Islam, get in that energy with Islam and Umar in the same camp. It's going to feel good just to be a part of it.
I love it. And, I do think, and no disrespect to fighters that don't necessarily train year round and aren't married to the game quite like my boy Belal Muhammad, but it probably does feel a little bit like some of these guys, right, that say, training camp a little bit is the first couple of weeks just getting back in shape, right?
Yeah, right. I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, bro, this is how you guys feel when you guys start a fight. But that's the thing. A lot of these guys, they go on vacation, and then they'll come back only when they have a fight, or they'll be out of the gym until they have a fight. But then you see the drop off in their skill set. For myself, I'm always evolving, and I'm always trying to get better every single camp, because I'm always in the gym. So these last 6 weeks, I couldn't do nothing physically, but mentally, I'm watching tape. I'm looking at things. I'm trying new ideas that I have. I have stuff written down that I want to get going. Nacho's in Chile right now, so when he gets back next week, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be working and trying to add to our game. But yeah, man, there was never a drop off, I don't think, in the skill. It's just right back to riding a bike and getting back to knowing it. Now my body just got to start waking up. It's like cracking an egg. I got to get the grease.
I like it. So let's talk about Orange Theory real quick, and shout out Orange Theory. If you want to sponsor the program, we'll make it orange instead of red. But Belal, I know that you went there today, right?
Yeah.
But Belal, this supplemental, right? It's like diversifying your portfolio. Belal has put in work at Orange Theory, and it has benefited him as sort of an aside to your camp, has it not?
Yeah, 100%. People hate on it. I always tag Gerald, because he always says you're training with soccer moms. But then I tell these guys, come to the gym, come and do it. I burned like 700 calories today in an hour class.
So I do have a little beef with them, though, right? And I told you about this a little bit, right? But they blew me up again today, right? I got some free Orange Theory trial thing, right? And they are hounding me as if my life depends on me showing up. I blocked their number. They're still calling me. And like I say, my brother texted me, who do I like tonight? I like MMA tonight, not football. But, Orange Theory, right? It's like, if you're going to, I'll show up there, maybe get a little sponsorship. But what I say every time I text me is like, I worked out today. I went for a run. I did something today. Leave me alone. What else I want to ask you? What I do want to tell our viewers is that when I said to Belal, and I got to spend more time with my boy Belal than ever before, shout him out. Love that call. That was after the finish of Sean Brady. Yeah, remember it. But so when I told Belal when we were together, like, to just be patient, or to listen to the doctors? He looked at me like he was looking through me, right? And there were no other moments where I was questioning anything, right? But those were the two moments where when I was like, I was talking about being patient and he's like looking right through me, like he actually might strike me. And then when I told him to listen to the doctors, I thought he was going to maybe like throw me in the wall, but it was just stone cold face. So you are built like a typical fighter, are you not? Even though I don't want you to be thinking about a date, you're probably wondering when you could be ready.
Yeah, 100%. So I see the doctor again on Friday, and it's just continuing it. Like I worked with the PI when I was in Vegas. They did some shockwave therapy. Heather looked at it. She's giving me her thoughts on it. So for me, it's just like I can't go back on the mend. So I just, like you said, I got to be careful. I can't be stupid. So we're getting constant checkups, constant check-ins with the doctors, and letting them know how I feel, what I feel. So hopefully we get some good news this Friday.
You will get good news this Friday. And what you've said to me is that I think though, and maybe on the show, is just sort of your healing process went very well, considering that your body is a temple. All right.
Yes.
Let's move on. UFC 311. Man, the UFC, I mean, little breather here for the holidays. We got fight night. We'll make a couple picks at the end of the show, but 311, man. All right. So we're going to force you to pick this weekend. And I know that we don't ever have to prep you on anything, right? And you could talk about the beef between the Umar and Merab camps if you want. That's fine. You can probably provide more insight than me. But I just want to the last 4 fights on this fight card for UFC 311, Jamal, and I think Kevin Holland is opening the main card. Forgive me, his opponent's escaping my mind. But Jamal Hill, Yuri Prochazka, Beneil Dariush, Renato Moicano, Umar versus the champion Merab Dvalishvili, and Islam the champion versus Arman Tsarukyan. That is heat. We will be in LA, which is my favorite town. I know you all hate California, but I love LA, baby. That fight card is banging, bro.
Oh, that card right there is nuts. That's the first pay-per-view of the year. Just when I'm looking at it, I'm like, honestly, I just want to be at home watching it, right? But we're gonna be in the friggin' arena, so that's gonna be sick. But yeah, I'm excited for it. The fact
it's that brand new Clippers arena, by the way, in Inglewood, dude.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry,
I'm pumped for that one. I like just those last 2 fights, Arman and Islam. Even that first fight, I think it was so close, but people just forget that. You know, for Islam, I think he was sick that day. I think he had an illness that day, and I think he's grown so much since that first fight. Arman's grown a lot as well, so I'm excited to see how both of them two match up. But I do think that Islam is just better in all aspects of MMA. Merab and Umar is the one, like you said, the buildup, even the press conference. I feel like Merab just is getting super emotional whenever he's talking about it or saying about it, and then he broke character, right? When Dana came out and said that Merab broke into my office and he said he wanted to fight on this card and he asked for it, and it was like, dang, right, that's a good buildup for it. And then Merab just came out in the Ariel Helwani show and was like, nah, man, I wanted to have vacation. I wanted to do this. I wanted to spend Christmas there. And then it gives you that kind of like, oh, so it wasn't that. And it was like, bro, you already got the fight signed. You might as well have just pushed it to the point of making it personal and saying that I wanted to fight this, because you would have got more draws.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a very good point. And obviously we both believe that Umar is most certainly the most difficult test for Merab. And I can understand why he's calling for Petr Yan again. And the timing, but I will say it's very well documented that Aljamain Sterling did not want to compete in Boston against Sean O'Malley. The timing wasn't ideal. And, you know, I know you really actually do want to get in there as soon as possible almost all the time, but not everyone it makes sense for. And so this is sort of interesting to know this and have Merab almost confirm that timing isn't ideal. I don't know, man. I don't love it for the first title defense or all this sort of energy out there, especially with Umar coming down the pike.
Yeah, and I think for Merab, he has to clear his head, right? Because if you're going through training camp stressing about it and thinking about it, and like, I don't want to fight, I should have never fought, I should have. Then once you're having those regrets, it's already over. And for myself, when I took the Gilbert Burns fight and I got hurt, and I was like, we had to put it out of our head. That stop thinking about it. No, we already said yes, this is it. We're going with it. So you can't put it in your head or stress about it. Like for me. Lou would always tell me, like, once the contract is signed, nothing else matters. Get rid of all the stresses, all the anxieties that you have, all the outside noise. It shouldn't matter. That's all outside noise. The complaining about it should have been this, I should have had more time. I wanted to celebrate Christmas. It's over. You already signed a contract. We have a date. We have a time. And for him, I think there was no other plan, right? It was like he says Umar doesn't deserve it, but Umar just beat Sandhagen, who would have been next in line. He beat him, right? So that he was number 3 or number 2 or at the time. So he just beat him. Peter Yan, you already beat. You had a long road to get to where you were already. So you already beat most of these guys. And most of them don't deserve a rematch with you yet. Peter Yan, he looked great his last fight, but he still needs at least another win.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Undefeated. He keeps saying it's because of his cousin's name, but it's not. I think Umar earned it. He beat Sandhagen. He beat him in a 5-round fight. He dominated him. And at that time, Sandhagen was riding hot. So you got to respect that. You got to respect your opponent. And if you're sitting there disrespecting him or you're looking past him, you're thinking he didn't earn it, it's only going to hurt you in the end. You got to look at yourself. Get right into camp right now. Stop thinking about all these other things, outside noise. Stop making, social media random posts. It's like you're the champion now. You don't have to do that. That's it. The fight's gonna sell itself. I feel like, just like you said, based off of that card. So I would get to work right away.
Couldn't agree more. And so Islam Makhachev, I just have to say, right? He got hungry during UFC 310. He was sitting sort of, on the apron there for a little bit. And so he gets hungry, right? He creeps over to DC. Like, see if DC can get him some food, right? Just hanging out, right? And yeah.
Little mini Snickers or Twizzlers or something.
Yeah, DC's always got snacks flowing. All right. Where are we going from here? Yeah, let's move on. Let's move out of this card. Let's move on to 312 because we got a lot to talk about. So Du Plessis versus Strickland 2 will headline UFC 312 in Sydney, Australia. I know we would have liked to see Khamzat Chimaev get the opportunity. Is he even? Could he go to Australia? Could they have made Khamzat instead of Strickland here?
I think they could have. I wish they would have, because I feel like Umar, he deserves it, especially after what he did at Whitaker. And I know they were trying to say that because they promised it to Strickland, and Strickland was going on his crybaby rants, saying that he's gonna sit out no matter what. He deserved it, and it's like, bro, you just beat Costa. And you didn't do much in that fight. So, and I think that people, when you look at Costa's resume, he shouldn't even be in the top 10 right now. A lot of the guys that he's beating aren't even in the UFC right now. He's not active enough to put him on a win over him, get you a title shot. It's like he just beat Robert Whitaker, who was riding hot, and he dominated him worse than anybody's ever dominated him. I think that Khamzat deserves it, but I think he'll get the next shot. So regardless of what happens, I think he'll get the next shot. I think there's just a worse chance of Strickland getting into Australia than Khamzat, right? It's like one of these. When I fought in Australia, we got off the plane, and Lou almost got stopped at the border. Like, they weren't letting him in through customs because we signed his passport thing, and he had a felony under his name, but we put no, and they made him write a letter.
Wow.
Nobody will fill out your form for you. Because he's like, oh, my bad, I didn't know. And they're like, you had a felony before, so why would you write this? We're sending you back to America. And I was like, bro, I'm fighting tomorrow. Please don't do this. And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, she did him like a teacher. She write this letter apologizing and saying that you'll never lie on a form again. Oh my God.
Cody, good stuff here. Drix Du Plessis tweet, just for clarification, I prefer the Khamzat fight, but the rematch is the fight most wanted before Khamzat versus Whitaker. I'm not unhappy with the UFC's decision. Like I said, I'll fight the man. The fans think the next best guy. He was promised the fight, so Strickland is. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. By the way, Bully, my brother always says when he goes to Australia, getting to Sydney's fine. That extra leg to Perth is just that extra kick in the dick. So maybe we go to Sydney, right? Because we don't need no date. UFC Fight Pass. Let's find a way to Australia, please. Right?
Yeah,
Bully?
I mean, when I fought there, Sydney was so nice. That was probably one of the best places I've ever been. The flight was terrible because they flew us on a 8-hour layover in Hong Kong. So it ended up being 30 hours full flight time. And I was cutting weight on a plane. I'm doing push-ups. And at that time, I didn't have Ian Lario. So I was just eating Quest bars, thinking I was doing the right thing, starving myself. Yeah.
Hilarious.
But we've upgraded a little bit. So yeah, man, we got to get Fight Pass tickets there.
So before we get out on UFC 312, you've known Tatiana Suarez for a long time, and I know that you and I both believe that she can give Zhang Weili everything that she can handle, or is the most equipped fighter to do so. So what are your thoughts? I'm really happy for her. She was pointing to the watch like it's my time. I know you're happy for Tatiana.
Yeah, I'm excited for her, right? especially because it's a new challenge for Wei Li. It's a different type of challenge. Tatiana has been so dominant. She's undefeated. Her wrestling just brings a different skill I don't think Wei Li's seen, or she hasn't seen anybody with that type of level of wrestling. So I think for Tatiana, her hands are still growing. Her hands are still getting better. But I think her grappling is another level, especially her fiance, Patchy Mix, who's one of the best grapplers in the MMA world. So she has the right people around her. I know she was supposed to be on this 310 card, but they cut it off, I'm assuming, just for this title fight. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see it. The thing with the fighting in Australia, though, right, is you wonder who's going to go down there early. If you're going to go down there a couple weeks early, 3 weeks early, because it doesn't matter. It does make a difference because that time zone change.
They wanted to make this fight, so we made this fight, and yeah, here we are. So I'm excited.
That scared the shit out of me. I was like, did my daughter just turn fucking 21? What's that?
I was like, is she here? Where is she?
Well, right. I don't recognize her voice like that. I'm like, who's in my house? That was funny. I like it though, Cody. Good stuff there. Throwing us. See, Cody's stepping up his game here. Wants Orange Theory to start paying some bills for us.
Yeah, more like Cody's fucking up. So thanks for the cover there.
No, not at all. All right. Show me that green screen, Cody. Let's get to Bully's Bix. The UFC Fight Night Tampa. John and I were so disappointed that it's at 10 o'clock start time because, for us, there's, it's the main card 10 p.m. It's it's like for one of these fight nights, if it was 7, for us to go to, just a lot of moving parts. But it's in Florida, but it's like 3-4 hours from us. So I don't know if we're going to be in the building, but I was really hoping to get my brother just to sit and watch some fights with him. Would have been fun, but I don't think we're going to make it happen. But we're going to break down 2 of them with you, Bully, just the co-main and the main event of the evening, not put too much pressure on you. So really excited to talk about the co-main event. Trin Daddy, appreciate you, brother. Remember the fudging name. You can be sure, brother. You can be sure. We do. Just don't fight until you're ready, Belal. All right. So great friend of the program, the Squid, Billy Quarantello, -148 facing Cub Swanson. My brother was acting like a clown, by the way, on the Anik and Florian podcast, calling him like Will Quarantello. Anyway, so Billy Q's alternated wins and losses in his last 8 UFC fights. He turned 36 on Sunday. Happy birthday, brother. I will never forget. He won 3 or 4 fights at the Apex during the pandemic, and I was there for one of them, and he begged Dana to fight in front of a crowd, right? His next fight, he gets Shane Burgos at MSG. That was December of 2020 when he did lose that fight. But my guy, Billy Q, been tough for his own good a lot at times, right? And I think maybe not putting himself in a position to use his cardio. Last fight was in March. He was submitted by Yusuf Zalavi, a rear naked choke. He's based in Tampa. He just purchased a gym there called Gracie Pack MMA Gym. I think he's sort of building a life, and he's based there. I'm really excited for him to get this opportunity. Gets Kevin Luke Swanson coming back, also known as Cub. Swanson +124. He turned 41 last month. Seems fighters more regularly competing into their 40s, Bully, and you being 36, right? It's like, you are right in your prime. Don't give me any of this sort of like, it really is different for every fighter. So I like sort of Cub at 41. It seems to be picking the right opponents. He's also alternated wins and losses in his last 6. Lost a split decision to Andre Fili at UFC 303. That was June 29th. Nice to see the quick turn, too, for the 41-year-old. Fascinated to see this one. How do you see it playing out in Tampa?
Man, for me, I really want to know what Billy Q's record has been since opening that gym. I feel like a lot of guys, once they open up a gym, and it takes a lot of time away from them training or them getting their own work in for the fight. A lot of guys tell me, open up a gym. And I was like, no, I don't want to, because if I'm going to open up a gym, I have to be in that gym. I have to train other people, and it's going to be hard to have a training camp. And a couple of guys that I know that are fighters, they tell me, bro, just wait. It's way too much work when you have a gym. It's way too much things to do. You have to take care of this, your employees, this, and this. So there's a lot of distractions. So I think for Billy Q, he did have a little hot streak, right? He had a little hype, and then all of a sudden he started getting finished. And his last fight I think Zalal looked amazing, but I think Q also is like, he's used to getting beat up and making comebacks. And that fight, he just got beat up and he got submitted. And Zalal's more of kind of like a striker, And I think that for him to just out grapple him like that, it was tough to watch, like you said, because we like Billy Q. For this one, I think it's a good matchup for him. Cub Swanson's tough everywhere. He looked good his last fight. I feel like that was a very close decision with him and Andre, and it could have went either way. But for Cub, he is on the last leg of his career. I think for Billy, he needs to remind people that he belongs here, that he's still here, that he's still hungry, that he still has some juice left in him. So I'm going to go with Billy here. I think that he's a little bit less rust on the wheels or whatever they say. So I think that Billy's going to come out here, make it a dirty fight, try not to get caught with any hard shots. And I think that Billy uses volume and end up winning by decision against Cub.
I've always been blown away by the characters that are the mixed martial artists that I meet. And I just am blown away by the quality of human being that I meet. And Billy Q, I love that dude. And, I hope he has a nice moment here in Tampa. Cub Swanson's had a lot of moments, I feel like, in the octagon, right? There was a moment very recently where he had his whole family there and he had an amazing finish, I think, in a fight. Forgive me that I'm forgetting the opponent. But I'm hoping Billy Q sort of gets a moment. If this is maybe, you're talking about the gym and everything, if this maybe is sort of the backside of the mountain. All right. Main event of the evening in your welterweight division. And the men around whom this fight card was built, as my brother would say. Colby Covington plus 225 versus Joaquin Buckley minus 278. And for those of you that think we want to talk about the bullshit, I don't want to talk about the bullshit. I want to pick my guy Belal's brain about the fight. He'll be able to talk about any of the bullshit you want. But anyway, I come at it from a different angle. I did always hope that you would fight Colby Covington, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. I really don't. I was surprised to hear my brother say this week that Colby Covington has fought at least once in every calendar year for the last 12 years. It surprised me because it feels like he doesn't fight. And not much more than once a year, but he has fought every year. Last time, about a year ago, lost unanimous decision win. We talked about that earlier. That was to Leon Edwards last December. You were weighing in as the backup. What a difference a year makes, huh, champ? Right? Gosh, I think about how many things transpired over the year in UFC 300 and rumblings. And then I believe in Manchester, right? We won the whole, didn't we? We can say we won the whole mother fudging thing. All right. So Colby Covington gets new Mansa. He's looked dangerous at welterweight, 5-0, 3-0 in 2024. Finished Wonderboy Thompson in his last fight. That was UFC 307 in October. Has faced good competition. Finished Vicente Luque this year too. That aged well last weekend when Luque choked out Themba Gorimbo, put him to sleep for 52 seconds. He was supposed to get Ian Garry this weekend, but Garry stepped up at 310. As we know, that fight would have been much more compelling for me. Buckley Garry is a banger. I'm excited to see what Buckley can do with this different challenge and Chaos Covington. Covington isn't much of a story for me, sort of win or loss. Excited to get your thoughts on the fight, the stories, anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, I feel like the only way that me and Kobe will be fighting is if I see him on the street, right? He's gonna get slapped, and I think he says, "Oh man, yeah, I'm living in a $2 million mansion because I can't be at the hotel because these guys are." I'm like, because you're scared, you're afraid, you can't show your face around any other fighters because you'll get slapped. So he right now, as you see him in the media day, trying to just say the most dumbest stuff, right? Trying to get any type of headline because he's a nobody. Nobody cares about him anymore. We realize that he's like I said, I've been saying it for years. He sucks. And I think that I'm hoping Buckley breaks his jaw. I'm hoping that Buckley puts him out cold. And I think Buckley can't put him out cold. Kobe's striking is terrible. His wrestling looked awful his last fight. I think Buckley's athletic enough to defend those takedowns. And if Buckley doesn't get crazy, right? If he doesn't get he throws a lot of wide hooks that leaves opening for shots underneath. He just can't let Kobe push him to the fence. Can't let Kobe keep him on the fence and wear him down. In his last fight against Wonderboy, he was getting a little bit tired, but I think that was more so because he was offensive wrestling Wonderboy. He was taking Wonderboy down. Wonderboy would get up. He was trying to hold him down, and you don't really need to hold Kobe down. You don't need to shoot on Kobe because Kobe can't strike. He can't. There's nothing that he's going to be throwing at you that's going to be scary. It's not going to hurt. So just take all of his punches, stand there in the middle, take one, and then give him one and show him that there's levels to striking. I think that Buckley can't finish him, knock him out. We've seen Kobe have his jaw broken before by Kamaru, who sucks with striking. So I think Buckley, who has way more power, way better boxing, can't put Kobe to sleep. And I'm going with Buckley here.
I hope Buckley's watching this, right? Because I believe Kenny Florian and Brian Petrie on the Anik and Florian podcast both picked Colby Covington, talk about it sort of getting into the later rounds. But I think your analysis is great. I really hope he watches this. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell my brother that I wanted to make the drive to Tampa to watch Colby get slept. I mean, I think he threatened my nieces and my nephew at some point, right? A little bit. I think George Masvidal told me anywhere, anytime he's got my back, right? So there's some rumblings in the past. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing New Mansa, who we've gotten to know, but it's exciting, right? To see a guy like New Mansa, I bet for you as the champion, guys like Michael Morales, to sort of see these sort of up and comers who you never know could come in your bracket sooner than you think.
Yeah, 100%, right? It's like now there's new blood in the division. There's new, especially for me now when I'm looking at, all right, we got Shavkat next, but who's after that? There's openings, right? Because Ian just lost. So now Buckley goes out there, gets this victory. He's right there in the mix. And people weren't thinking about him or talking about him a year ago being in the mix. So if he goes out there, puts on a good performance, all it takes is a guy like, Usman, who's sitting on the sideline, like, sitting in a spot, not fighting any of these guys, right? He could say what he wants, but he's not doing anything. He's just standing there and waiting to see what happens with the division. But he's going to have to fight one of these guys, one of these new guys, if he wants to get another title shot, another crack at it. And another thing too, right? Let's go back to the
go ahead. Go wherever you want. It's all right. We're looking at rankings, but go ahead. Yeah.
When people are like, oh man, security didn't know who he was. I was like, bro, it's not even security. That's Ozzy. That's one of the biggest, the heads of the UFC, one of the big guys at the UFC. And they thought I was doing a shot Strickland or a Marab where I was hopping over doing something crazy. Right. So when all these guys are just trying to play stupid or play dumb, like.
Yeah, and I will say
his name. I'm looking at Joe Rogan like, bro, you just created something that
exactly. Well, right, and that's what I'm saying with Joe. It's like, Joe, what are we on? Are we doing a comedy show there? Hey, no, right? I mean, that didn't necessarily help. But you know what, Bully Man? For those of us that are on Team Muhammad, and you're a member of Team Muhammad, we don't give a fudge, man. I don't care about the noise. I just don't. I'm focused on you getting your physique back to where you need your physique to be, and I'm focused on you not thinking about a date, because what I told you is when you're 46 years old like I am and not 36, time, September, June, they're all the same thing. You got to do it when you're right, champ. But another show, we're not going to do anything next week. Maybe we'll be back next week. It's not Christmas week next week. We should be back in your lives next Thursday, the 19th. Why not, right?
Game show going. Yeah,
there you go. I think who should we get on the game show for next week? Maybe some old heads.
I was gonna throw in Pantoja. Pantoja's I think we need to get him out there more. Get his personality side. He's such a cool dude whenever I meet him.
I love it.
Yeah, so
hey, well, maybe get him. Maybe he can go against his boy Gilbert Burns, perhaps. He could go against Luque, who you faced twice. Yeah, he's putting a Moicano. That'd be pretty. I wouldn't mind that, right? How about Moicano versus Beneil Dariush? Very interested to see where Dariush is in his mixed martial arts journey.
Yeah, right. This is that test. This is gonna be the one where it tells us if Moicano belongs in the title talks or if Dariush still there.
Right.
Or is Dariush gone? Because you people look at his losses, but who did he lose to? He lost to Arman, he lost to Charles Oliveira, and both those guys are still winning. It's not like he's losing to scrubs out there, but Moicano looked so good his last fight. His ground game looked so good against Saint Denis, and he showed that he belongs in the mix with these top guys. So I think the grappling exchange is going to be really good, really fun between these two. And yeah, I think Beneil's been taking a lot of time off, right? I think he's had probably over a year off to recover. And I'm hoping that, he's back to normal, because he was one of the best guys. He had the long win streak, right? Didn't get a shot at the title. And I was like, man, I never want to be in that spot. And I was like, is that going to happen? Or is that going to happen? But it didn't. So I'm hoping that he ends up getting his name back in the mix, getting some more wins. And then, I'm sure Islam will give him a shot if he piles up a couple wins, because Islam's tired of rematches and he hasn't faced Beneil yet.
Great stuff there. And it's interesting. There was a time where it was like Marab and Dariush and Muhammad. It was like the three of you that were all sort of on these streaks, and two of you realized undisputed championship gold. Anyway, if you want that hat Belal Muhammad's wearing, johnanik.com, 15% off, code 2025. We got to get out of here. Cody Merrill running it as usual. Add some little bits and pieces. I like that, Cody. For the UFC welterweight champion of the world, Belal, remember the name Muhammad. My name is Jason Anik. We appreciate you all being with us. Much love to you and yours. Take care of each other. Love to you all. Have a great night. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Later.